And welcome into Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP. We are getting into the summer months, Tim. Things sort of slow down, I guess. And I think it's because people have that heat weighing down on them, maybe taking some vacations, but more just trying to stay inside, stay as cool as possible. But we're here to talk about the hot financial topics, things that have been on people's minds and the discussions around the dinner table and the water cooler this year.
Peter, there's so many, with the election, the meme stocks with Nvidia taking off, all these different things are kind of in the atmosphere. A lot of volatility, and I think a lot of people think the markets is healthier than it really is. That's a little scary to me. That's why we do these shows to kind of bring people back to the realities of life here. That that's not how you don't bet on a retirement, right? Playing these stocks, all these fun and games, that's fantastic when you're in your 30s. But when you get to be, late 50s, early 60s, this is where the, rubber meets the road, and you got to make sure that you're making this count. Maybe have an account that has some fun money in it, but most of your money should be in stable products that are going to earn you something that's going to stay above inflation and not kill you in a market that goes down.
Well, Tim, I think most of the time here on the program, you talk about time-tested, tried and true methodology, things that holistically make sense from a planning perspective. And every once in a while, we have a program like this where we get off of those and more into the conversations of the moment and current affairs and things like that. So we'll be talking about some of those today, but ladies and gentlemen, don't worry. If you would like more of that holistic planning approach, if you would like to put together your protect and grow plan for retirement, the written plan for retirement income, pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns a call. Or if you have any topic that is on your mind that we don't address on today's program that you would like to hear addressed, or would like that complimentary review and strategy session, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, or you can go online to tjstearns.com. That's tjstearns.com. tjstearns.com, website with lots of episodes of the program, videos, audio, podcast, if you like to listen or watch the program. And of course, that complimentary review available if you give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, do hot topics often affect our wallet and our portfolio in your experience?
Peter, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which side of the fence you're on, some of these, the hype becomes reality in the stock market, and then it doesn't. And I'm talking about the different things like, pets.com would be a great one to show people that are all in love with NVIDIA. Now, granted, NVIDIA is a different beast, and I mean beast, because it's rolling. But I mean, I just worry about things like that. In the back of my mind, there's always a check engine light, right? That really you should maybe be a little cautious with things like that. Again, it does move the markets. I mean, I saw the other day where it's 31% of the return last year in the S&P 500 was NVIDIA. That's scary to me because we're really counting on one company to kind of pull the load. And that being said, I would hope that our listeners out there that are smarter than the average would not be putting all their money into these meme stocks and NVIDIA. You don't bet on black, right? You're going to have some diversification.
Not picking on them in particular because it's more than just NVIDIA, but that they certainly have been the darling of the headlines this year. And I read recently, Tim, that from June 20th to June 24th, NVIDIA lost $600 billion of market cap in just 3 trading days. And then subsequently, the following day added $250 billion in market cap in just one day. So that's like an $850 billion swing, which is 1.5 times the entire value of Tesla. Right. That struck me. It's like, I'm not sure if I walk around town, if I can point out a NVIDIA product.
Right. And that's fair to say. But those are the things I'm wary about, is that I'll have people come in here who are, later in the stages of their careers, and they're trying to double down by playing these Nvidia stocks and all these different things because they, I put the kids through college. I didn't want them to come out with any debt. Well, that's great, mom or dad, but at the end of the day, now you're holding the ticket for paying for your retirement. So, that factors into this too. So I don't want people to think it's a blackjack table, right? Where you can just sit down and catch a hot hand and then you'll be fine, because that's not how retirement is.
Well, NVIDIA certainly has been a hot hand this year so
Yeah.
far. But we'll talk about more topics, not to harp on that one company or stock in particular as we discuss the hot topics, but that has certainly been one that anytime you turn on the news or anything about the market, you are hearing that name coming up time and time again. Tim, what are some of the other important conversations or hot topics that you hear about in your office that are impacting more people's planning than maybe in years past?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people are figuring out from our classes and then our different radio shows about this, Secure Act, that, with Secure Act being something that's really changed the landscape of retirement. People are coming in here and saying, hey, I understand that if something happens to my wife and I, my kids are going to have to drain down my IRAs. Why don't we look at doing a Roth conversion while tax rates are so low? And we've talked about this before, but the current tax bill will expire at the end of 2025, and then it reverts back to how it used to be. So that with the Secure Act has kind of created a perfect storm where people are like, you know what, let's get some money into the Roth at a lower rate. Maybe we'll benefit from it, but we know our kids will, or maybe even your grandkids. I mean, they'll have to drain it within 10 years, but there's, that's a heck of a legacy to leave something that's absolutely tax free.
So passing and inheriting those Roth IRAs, Tim, is more of a goal or a planning tactic these days than it has been previously.
Oh, absolutely. And people are realizing that the current tax rates are the lowest they've been since the 1980s. And before that was the 1920s. So take advantage of it, right? While we can. We know what tax rates are today. We don't know what tax rates will be in the future. If they're left to their own, devices, you're going to see the Congress just let it expire. And then we're back to where, the 12% is 15. And again, that's a 25% increase right there.
Hmm.
So those are the things that we're hearing in here quite a bit.
Well, if you are tax conscious, or if you would like to leave the most efficient method for inheritance and legacy for your family, certainly a conversation that is justified in having. And if you have not heard anything about that, if that has not been a proactive suggestion from your planning team, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns a call. You can see why actually online. Tim, you've got that great website, mvpcfp.com, which allows people to crunch their own numbers and see side by side what that tax bill might look like, right?
Well, yeah, that website I think is worth its price in gold because, and I've said this before, but it's so true. If you walk around anywhere and you ask people, you're taking a survey, how much money do you have for retirement? They'll give you a number that will be within 50 to maybe 60 grand of where it is. But if you ask them, how much will you pay in taxes over your lifetime in your retirement funds? They look at you like, what are you talking about? So if you go to www.mvpcfp.com, you can enter in your information. We'll prepare a nice report for you that's easy to understand and easy to use, and they'll shoot it over to you via email. And at that point, you can kind of say, wow, okay, maybe I should be looking into some Roth IRAs. Normally, what we'll see on $500,000 in an IRA in someone's lifetime, about 2/3 of it is going to taxes by the time it's all said and done with required minimum distributions. You reinvesting the money, because most people over the age of 73 have things paid off and they're not really using the money. And then lastly, your heirs having to drain that thing down within 10 years, and God knows what the tax rates will be like in the next 10 years.
And again, you can manage that. You can control that. You can minimize that tax liability. If you're tax conscious, go check that online calculator out, mvpcfp.com, mvpcfp.com, like the most valuable professionals, your certified financial planning professional, mvpcfp.com, or give Tim Stearns a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, any other hot topics that you are hearing about more often, maybe this year or at least recently, than you have in previous years or in the past?
Well, it seems like a lot of our higher net worth clients have already maxed out their different 401ks and that thing. And they're trying to figure out how to put some more money away. And unfortunately, they're not going to get a write-off for an IRA, right? Because they make too much and or they're in a 401k program at their own work. Some of the things we're looking at is backdoor Roth IRAs. And then the other thing, big time, that we're looking at is the cash value life insurance that has long-term care components, because people can really stuff money away. And if you look at the uber wealthy, the Waltons, the Kennedys, those types of people, that's where they get that's where they extrapolate their wealth, is through life insurance that, outlives their ages, by far. And it's all tax-free. And as I said, it has a long-term care component.
Tim, there are different types of formulas for how 401k dollars and contributions get matched as well. And I know that in some companies' plans that I have taken part in, they match up to 4% of your salary over the course of the year, but it's also kind of a per paycheck thing. So if somebody maxes out their 401k too early, could they potentially be missing out on some of that match?
Yes, definitely. I've seen that with a couple airline pilots that we have as clients, and I told them go back to HR and get the information to fix that, because that is literally leaving money on the table. And if you're that on top of it, that you want your 401k to get matched, you want to max it out, let alone get matched, make sure you're keeping an eye on the pennies. The pennies become dollars.
Well, again, if you have questions about this, if you would like to find out more information, if you've got some hot topics that have been on your own mind, pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns CFP a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, we've heard a lot about annuities and guaranteed income and RMDs as well. I think those are two more hot topics. I don't know if they intertwine at all, but certainly the income that people want to generate and or the income that the IRS forces them to take out of retirement accounts both play into our retirement planning projections.
Well, a couple areas that we've seen that take care of required minimum distributions. One of them is definitely having a lifetime income from an annuity. It'll more than take care of that. And it's lifetime. So if something happens to you, it'll go over to your wife, and you're both satisfying the required minimum distributions. So much so that you might not have to take money out of your other IRAs and that type of thing. I mean, it is your money, so why not put it in something that's a lifetime income? It only makes sense.
Because annuities, Tim, are specifically designed to basically leverage the income they produce, right? So that's going to help with those RMDs.
Anytime you can get into the insurance company's pockets, by this lifetime income, absolutely. And that's the only way to do it, is to have a lifetime income. Which reminds me, one of the other things we're talking about in our office is with interest rates being so high, the highest they've been in 30 years of my being in the industry. We are, for lack of a better term, refinancing a lot of annuities that people have, because they're not earning money in them. They're capped out. Their spreads are too high. We're seeing that over and over. So what we do is we go back and revisit it and see. I mean, even something 4 or 5 years old is being revisited just to see what kind of interest rates are. And then if you're thinking about having an annuity in your portfolio, give us a call. The interest rates, again, are sky high as to where they've ever been in my career. And they are great lifetime guaranteed payouts for both you and your spouse.
So this is good for somebody looking at the retirement timeline, the outlook in front of them, and saying, how are we going to generate the income that we need?
Right.
A finite amount of money, Tim, with certainty how much income it's going to be able to produce for you.
Exactly. And with interest rates paying out so high, you'll never see this again. I mean, not in my career, and I've got some room left in the tank, but these interest rates are the highest I've seen.
If you have two accounts, Tim, two different IRA accounts, um, it, isn't the rule on that while you have to account for each of them, you don't necessarily have to take the RMD from each of them?
Exactly. Let's say I need to take, $10,000 and I've got, you know, 10 IRAs for some reason. I can take $1,000 from each one or 10,000 from the one. It's that easy. And that's why I'm saying with annuities and that type of thing, it makes it a lot simpler. If you have a lifetime income payout, that it satisfies for all those. So maybe you're not taking money out in a portfolio that's been hurt by the markets, that type of thing.
So if we've got that bucket strategy that you've talked about, a bucket for income and then a bucket for growth, it might allow us to keep more money in that growth bucket.
Exactly. And again, believe it or not, stocks have come down so some people might not want to be taking money out of that area because the stock is the stock has been hurt by something. I think of Tesla because a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon. It's had a rough year. So maybe you don't want to take money out there and you're taking money out of your annuity, which satisfies that.
Yeah, I was reading another article, Tim, that was talking about not so much the AI stocks that we've already hit on, but basically all of the rest of the S&P 500. It was something like 80% of the S&P 500 is only up nominally or not up at all or even down for the year. And we've seen this meteoric rise this year in the S&P 500, but that is mostly due to just a small handful of companies. So I guess the question in all of that is the overweighting in just a small select handful of companies worthy to say it's a hot topic for our conversation?
Better yet, is it worth it to say that it's really a hot stock market, right? When you have one stock calling the shots, it doesn't really, I have a lot of people coming in here, thinking that the market's doing great. I mean, there's a handful of stocks that are really smoking right now, and that's great. But diversification is the key at the age of retirement. Doubling down, acting like it's a blackjack table. I'll say that again, is to me asinine and scary. I tell people in our classes, if there's one takeaway from today, please don't take the risk that you did when you were 40, when you're 60 something years old and you're trying to get out the door and retire and have a successful retirement.
Again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP, here on Protect and Grow. And if you would like to get that plan put together, if you'd like a complimentary financial investment and retirement planning review and evaluation, that strategy session, and then the written plan for lasting retirement confidence, the Protect and Grow plan, pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, it's not just the AI stocks, though. We also saw the return of the meme stocks this year. I thought that was something that was just a kind of crazy COVID delusional haze, but it seems like the meme stocks came back with a vengeance. In fact, I think the person that sort of leads that charge, Roaring Kitty, they
Yep.
sort of came back with a roar, right?
Yeah, and then a whimper. He had a podcast the other day that he was going to announce his picks, and it didn't go too well. But that being said, once again, you're doing professional gambling there. Playing these stocks like the AMC stock and GameStop. That to me, that's not having a plan. Our clients, if they have any of that, it's because they did it on their own. We don't play with that type of stuff. You need to be stable and in my mind sterile with these things that you're going to the tried and trues, like we have a dividend fund that only invests in the aristocrats. So we are the aristocrats. Let me just define that for those out there that don't know what that is. It's a company that has paid a dividend on their stock for over 25 years that's increasing. So it's that strong. It throws off a dividend to these people. We're writing covered calls and puts on it. It's a very safe strategy, and we use it for our clients that are retired. We're not buying Roaring Kitty's latest flavor of the day.
Which I also saw headlines that there may be a class action lawsuit brewing there. So who knows?
Right. Yeah.
For the folks that followed that advice. And pump and dumps are unfortunately nothing new when it comes to the market. People selling the advice rather than taking it themselves. Tim, another hot topic that certainly has been on the minds, mouths, ears, in the news of almost every American is this coming election. I don't want to dive so much into the election itself, but how do elections actually impact finances and investments? Because what I've heard is most often there's a negligible, if any, impact, and that the market seems to like when there's a mixed bag of cards, so to speak, in the Washington political scene.
Yeah, look at the last 3 years, right? I mean, it's been a decent clip, with that. So, I mean, yeah, I don't want to dive very deep into the presidential election, but it didn't seem like it affected it that much the last 3 years, even though a lot of people aren't enjoying the presidency. I mean, the markets have still gone up. We kind of go, upward and onward and not worry about the little man in the corner, if you will. So I see a lot of people, more focusing on that unemployment's at all-time lows, and that these companies are coming up. The AI thing has really, really been a hot topic and has saved the day, if you were to ask me, of what in the market has pumped it up. You got Microsoft looking into that, Apple, Nvidia, leading the brigade. But I mean, all these other companies that have been kind of, I'll say, denying its existence now are like, maybe we should look into that. So you're seeing that too. And I think that has gotten us away from worrying about what the election is. I know the conversations in our office have gone down a lot about that topic, about the presidential election.
Well, I know many things can lead to market volatility and market corrections, and certainly the politics can play into it. But the buy on rumors, sell on news when heading into election season, kind of keeping in mind that yes, volatility happens in the market on a short-term basis, but long-term it has remained fairly stable and very strong over the course of time. And we believe that's probably going to continue to go on regardless of any single election cycle, right?
I think it's going to continue always. I mean, volatility is what the market's all about. And so, with that being said, I mean, I don't want volatility when I'm retired, right? I want a plan that is paying my bills every month, guaranteed. All right. And then I have a growth bucket that's going to be in the market and will be at risk at some point. But I'm not going to put a lot of eggs in that basket when I'm retired, because I want to stay retired. And that's what people should focus on, is having a protect and grow plan that answers the taxes, it answers the volatility, it answers who's going to be the president, because it's paying the bills, and that's what it's all about.
Well, I would be remiss, Tim, if we failed to mention your book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, addresses many of the factors that you need to address in order to stay retired.
Right. And I think that we have chapters literally on these topics that we've been covering for these years, that just talk about diving into them, but it's a layman's terms. I mean, it's not going to be a highfalutin book that you're going to fall asleep reading, because to me, the excitement stems in the fact that you're going to be able to retire better if you read the book. The topics are that good, and it tells you the story about how to figure it out, and avoid a lot of the pitfalls that our ancestors and people around us are doing.
Again, if you would like a complimentary review, a retirement planning strategy session, your written protect and grow retirement income plan, give Tim Stearns a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, or visit online, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com. And Tim, typically for the first 10 callers, you make an offer to also include a copy of that book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle.
I'm happy to do that. If you have over $500,000 worth of assets and you would like to get a copy of the book into your hands, please give us a call and we'll do that. First 10 callers only, though.
Again, 800 800-640-2256. Call now, 800-640-2256. Tim, I won't say the conversation is a hot topic per se, because I have been hearing the gold commercials for at least the last 20 years, it
Oh
seems
yeah.
like. But certainly the price of gold has risen a little bit, reached all-time highs a little earlier this year. And that's been kind of a hot topic in the actual price of gold this year.
Right. And you see them pop up and they're gone just as soon as they pop up, it seems. But yeah, I mean, that is one of the topics that we're seeing. Unfortunately, a lot of these people, even online, a lot of some of our clients have come in here and said, yeah, they let me buy it, but they don't let me sell it. And it's not a very liquid situation. Or if they're going to sell it, it's for pennies on a dollar. That's the one that I ran into with silver for a guy that had bought it from a company who touted it was going to be the next best thing ever, which is scary. So, I mean, these are not places that we dabble in too much for a client, because we'll try to extricate them from a mess they've made. But at the end of the day, it's really scary.
Well, I've always sort of been skeptical that when you buy gold, you do not buy it at spot price. There's a premium. That's what pays for all those ads. When you sell gold, you do not get spot price. Again, there's a premium. That's what pays for those tens of millions of dollars in monthly
Advertising.
ad run
Right.
that they have on everywhere you turn and look. But my real question is always, or has always been, if those that were selling the gold, putting all those ads out there, if they really believed that the dollar was going to collapse imminently and that gold was going to be the safe haven. To your point, Tim, how do you spend the gold? You got to turn it back to dollars, at least currently. And if the time came that we were spending gold, that would be a pretty bad scene. The zombies are loose, so to speak, and you would be one of the very few with gold. But if they really believed that that was going to be the occurrence, if they believe that the dollar was going to lose value, gold was going to be the safe haven, why would they send me their gold and take my dollars? Right? It's just, it never made 100% complete
Doesn't
sense to
jive
me.
at all.
Right. Yep. And then crypto kind of the same way. I mean, Bitcoin probably more legitimized than ever, having been adopted by ETFs and regulators, and
Yep.
being able to be marketed with Wall Street investments. But cryptocurrency still kind of in its testing phase, right?
Yeah, we have people, oh, it's back to where I was 2 years ago. That's who signs up for that? That you want to, lose it to get it back to where you were. I mean, let's be a little smarter with our money. For me, I've tried to have my 22-year-old son explain it to me more than once, and I still don't get it. So I guess I'm just the dummy in the room with him at that point.
Well, we got more hot topics, inflation, cost of living, what's the Fed going to do, Russia, Israel. Tim, these are all, no time left in the program to dive into those in particularly, but we've heard about them
Yep.
all year and in certain cases for many, many years. But these are all topics that play into the conversations that you have there in your office. The answer to each one of these probably, I would assume, is have a plan. Have a plan put together, and you can deal with those hot topics flash in the pan as they come up.
I totally agree with you. Have the bills paid for, have your, little kitty of money that you might want to play in some areas that you maybe shouldn't be. But the brunt of your money is stable, and you know where it's what it's going to do, and it's not going to cost you going back to work. And that's what we look at doing. And I think that's what people have to understand, is that, you don't mess around with the retirement. You get one shot at it.
Well, there are certain topics that are always going to be important, but we can't just ignore the hot topics either. So, Tim, appreciate it. It was a fast moving and fun conversation on today's program about some of these financial hot topics that we have heard about so far this year. There are certain to be some more. Some of these will certainly continue, but bottom line, you got to have the plan. And at TJ Stearns, they help savers and investors better determine your outcome, ladies and gentlemen, by helping you structure that plan that reflects your goals, your reality, your vision. And specifically, if you'd like to learn how to retire with confidence, solve the modern retirement riddle, and stay retired with confidence, pick up the phone and request that Protect and Grow written retirement income plan. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. 888-872-5256. Tim, as always, time moves by quickly here on the program, and we always appreciate your guidance and insight.
Thanks, Peter. Have a great day.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stern's full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.